I'm giving the chance to you all to ask the questions. Otherwise, just I am asking the questions to check whether you all are on the track. Come on. Yes, there are 4 regulators for the financial institution. To regulate the financial institution, there are 4 regulators in Sri Lanka. The first one is the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. They are regulating licensed licensed banks, licensed finance companies, specialized leasing companies, and primary dealers. That is, those are the coming under the central bank supervision. So the first regulator is Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Who are the second regulator? Who is the second regulator? Securities and Exchange Commission. The Securities and Exchange Commission regulate the capital market related institutions. And third one is Insurance Regulatory Commission, Sri Lanka, Insurance Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka, IRCSL. And these 3 are the main regulators, but there is another regulator called Cooperative Development Department, which is the department regulating the cooperative rural banks and thrift societies. So, if there is any question about it, how many regulators are in Sri Lanka, you will have to ready to answer. There are 4 regulators: Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Securities and Exchange Commission, and Insurance Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka, as well as Cooperative Development Department. Students, it is easy then and there when you are studying and clear the subject then and there. Then you need not to hard work during the just before the exam. So better just read it or just prepare or revisit your topics and discussion things. If you have any doubt or anything, just ask and clarify then and there, because most of the cases just before the exam we are having some the seminar called recapturing the past paper session. During that session, most of the students are interested to ask the questions and all. But if you all pay that interest during the class or session, then it will be easy. Okay?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. I fully agree with you. And I would like to suggest, sir, now it will be really helpful if you can give us the if the next classes tut is uploaded beforehand, so that we can go through it and be ready with the questions, so that we can discuss this in the class. It will be really helpful.
Okay. Actually, I'll talk to the IBSL people. So now what is the procedure? Actually, we are sending 2 days before. We are sending the tut or presentation slides 2 days before to the IBSL people. When they are uploading, it's after the class.
No. Now what? It's about 2-3 days after the class.
Okay. I'll discuss with the IBSL people, and if there is
for instance, then now today's tutorial will be uploaded about 2-3 days after today's class. That's the experience that I have got. I don't know the other students, but I
maybe the same. Maybe the same thing. So I'll just discuss with the IBSL people if it is possible, because I don't know whether they may have some other reasons, but if it is possible, because normally all the lecturers are sending 2 days before the class, particularly, I don't know about others, but particularly myself, I'm sending my tutors by Wednesday or latest Thursday early morning. So then they can upload it at least 1 day before. Then you are right. You can just prepare the go through the tutors, and you can prepare for the class in advance. That's one way. I'll just discuss with the IBSL people and check the possibility of uploading 1 day before the class.
So thank you, sir. One more Thank you, sir. One more request. Now, when we, with regard to these past question papers, we were told that even the past question papers will be uploaded to the facilities that we are being given to us. If that also can be done immediately, it will be really helpful rather than 4-5 months.
Waiting.
It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, that's the thing. There is other way. But generally, when we are doing, when I am doing the classes, if once I finish the one topic or one session in the sense, we are having several topics in our syllabus: risk management, compliance, corporate governance, and all. So each and every topic, normally I am conducting the class to the theory I am covering in 2 to 3 classes, and then end of the third class, I'm just discussing whatever the possible past paper questions. Then the people or students can keep ready with the exam, and then they can get familiar with the questions. What type of the questions? If you go through the past papers, you can realize that some questions are repeatedly coming. So if you are ready with those questions, you can easily pass the exam. But if you wanted to score high, or if you wanted to score higher marks, then you have to work it out on the topics and which we are discussing here. So I'll discuss with that as well with the IBSL people, and if it is possible, I'll make arrangement to upload it. Thank you for the feedback.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So these are the things we have discussed in the last class. So having that, since you all don't have much any particular questions, I'm moving to today's topic, which is about the licensed commercial banks and licensed specialized bank licensing and registration. So I think these slides we have discussed in the last class as well. All the licensed banks are functioning or giving authority to function as a bank under the Banking Act number 30 of 1988, amended several times. So this licensing procedure, of course, take place based on this particular Banking Act number 30 of 1988. And business of a commercial bank, a specialized bank, can be carried out only with the authority of the license issued by the Monetary Board with the approval of the minister in charge to the finance. So not like other institutions like a production company or any other service oriented company or any other businesses. This banking business, of course, they have to get a special approval or a special license from the Monetary Board or Central Bank or Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. So without having that license, any banks cannot function, or any institution cannot accept the deposit from the general public. So that is why here because they are functioning, or they are functioning with the others' money, depositors' money, not the owner's money. So there are stringent regulatory process for the licensing. So there are 4 procedures are getting involved in the licensing. First one is submission of duly completed application. The first process, the people, those who wanted to create a bank, they have to submit the application form, duly filled application form. Then the second one is the assessment of the suitability of applicant. So the central bank, the Monetary Board, under the Monetary Board direction, central bank officer will do the assessment on the suitability of the applicant, whether they are having the enough resources to start the bank. The enough resources mean financial resources as well as human resources, skills and capacity, all the things it will be measured. And then fourth one is issues of the letter of provisional approval. Provisional approval means before granting the license, the central bank or Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka issue a letter called provisional approval letter. Based on the provisional approval letter, there may be some conditions to issue the banking license. So the particular promoters or creators of the bank, they have to fulfill those conditions before getting the proper banking license. So the final procedure, so once they fulfill all sort of conditions mentioned in the provisional approval, in the fourth, as a fourth procedure, final procedure, issue of a bank license. So generally the banking license procedure having the four category of four main segregation of procedures. You can get more idea what are the things they have to submit, what are the documents the people has to submit, and what are the suitability application procedure, all those of things you can get it from the central bank website. Especially if you go to the bank supervision site, then you can get it all sort of information. So as I mentioned already, that the first procedure is submission of an application. An application for a license should be made in writing to the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka in the manner determined by the board. So those who wanted to create a bank, new bank, then they have to submit in writing, they have to submit an application form. And in the application form, generally they have to include the following information. The first one is profiles of the promoters. Promoters in the sense those who wanted to create a bank, new bank. The profile of the promoters, their skills and what is their experiences, education qualifications, and all sort of profiles they have to give. And then directors, proposed directors and major shareholders and objectives of the setting up of a bank. Okay, what is the objective? You are a main objective and sub-objective. For example, I have been involved earlier. I have been involved with the evaluation of a licensing application of a particular bank, where the bank mentioned that our main objective is promoting particular business. Particular business is securitization business. They say that in Sri Lanka, securitization is sort of very initial stage. So our main objective is to promote that securitization business type of business in Sri Lanka through our banking business. So likewise, they maybe they have to mention their objective of setting up a particular bank. Another one is they have to mention about the capital and shareholding structure of a bank. Of course, the last class we have discussed about it. In the capital also, one of the students asked the question, what is the restriction on the ownership? Can there be any major shareholder in the bank? So there are, as I mentioned already, there are some restriction on keeping the capital. So generally a capital, one shareholder cannot have more than 10% of the capital without any special approval of the Monetary Board. So those are where then to check that. So they have to mention about the capital and shareholding structure and names and CV of the CEO and other senior officers, proposed senior officers, and training facilities, staffing, technological status, plan for branch expansion, and business projection. All those information has to be given with the application form. Okay, so this is not an easy. It's not an easy business. So when anybody wanted to give the application, they have to give all sort of information to the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Here already, as I mentioned, the exact detail can be obtained from the website of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, CBSL website. You can get all sort of other details. And in Sri Lanka, there are two type of banks. Or two type of companies cannot be can be involved with the banking business, or can be applied for the banking license. The first one is companies which are incorporated in Sri Lanka. So in case of locally incorporated company, the following document has to be given in addition to which I have mentioned in the previous slide. The first one is copy of the article of association or constitution or any other document associated with the formation of the company. So particularly if it is a company incorporated under the Companies Act, then they have to give the copy of the article of association of the particular company. They say that the draft document if the company is to be formed, that is different case. But if it is an existing company, then they have to give the article of association. The second one is statement containing the name, address, occupation, and qualification of the directors and CEO. If it is a proposed, the proposed person has to be detail has to be given. And copies of the audited balance sheet and profit and loss account for the preceding 3 years. So if it is an existing company, they have to give the particular company's 3 years balance sheet, audited balance sheet, and profit and loss account. So in addition to those information, if it is in case of locally incorporated company, they have to give these informations. And the second case is in case of foreign companies, the company is incorporated outside Sri Lanka, then they have to give this information to the Central Bank or Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka with the application form. So the first one is copy of the article of association or constitution or any other document associated with the formation of the company. So if it is in outside Sri Lanka, then they have to give the parent company or particular company's article of association or any other document. And statement containing the name, address, occupation, qualification of the directors and CEO, they have to give. And copies of audited balance sheet, profit and loss account for the preceding 3 years period. These 3 documents are, of course, these are same as the locally incorporated company. Apart from those 3 documents, they have to give 2 more documents. The first one is the undertaking, a written undertaking supported by a resolution of the Board of Directors stating that on demand by CBSL, such company would provide such fund as may be necessary to meet all the obligations incurred in connection with its business in Sri Lanka. So they have to give sort of additional undertaking to the Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Another one is approval from a regulatory authority in which the company is incorporated. For example, a company incorporated in India, they wanted to open a, they wanted to apply for a licensing, banking license in Sri Lanka. So in that scenario, what they have to do is they have to get a approval from the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, their regulator authority, to form or apply for a licensing in Sri Lanka. So in that case, they have to get the special approval from the RBI and has to be sent it to attached with this application form. So before going to the assessing suitability, if you have any questions on submission of application, I can clarify for you.
So the terms and conditions for both type of banks, that is banks incorporated here and banks abroad, foreign banks, the central bank's rules will be the same, isn't it? Apart from what you just said now, is it going to be the same rules?
No, it will not be the same. Actually, the same in the sense the documentations, there are some difference in the documentation, but assessing when we are doing the assessment will be different in case of foreign banks and in case of Sri Lankan banks. Because in case of foreign bank, of course, they will see, okay, whether really that bank wanted to open a branch or the branch in Sri Lanka or operations in Sri Lanka, and what is the necessity and all sort of things will be assessed in case of foreign banks application or foreign applications. But in Sri Lanka, of course, then again, another thing is you'll have to keep in mind, in Sri Lanka, based on the banking license procedures and based on the Banking Act, even though the applicant comply with all the requirement for a license. But even at that circumstances, Central Bank or Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka can reject the application on the ground that there is no necessity for opening a new bank. Actually, the Monetary Board has to satisfy that there is a need in Sri Lanka to open a new bank. In that circumstances only they will approve the application. So in case there is the applicant comply with all the requirement, still the Monetary Board can say there is no necessary to open a new bank at this point in Sri Lanka, and so we are rejecting. So those kind of special powers are given to the Monetary Board.
So in the current scenario now, with regard to opening branches in local banks, what are the sort of criteria they look into? For example, I know that for example, if you want to open a branch in Western Province, 2 other branches should be open outside Western Province. There's something like that. Am I right?
Yeah. There's a early. I don't know whether that direction is still in operation, but earlier there was a direction for the same direction. If any bank wanted to open a branch in Western Province, they had to open a 2 branch in outside of the Western Province, because to increase the financial inclusion and banking density, because most of the banks prefer to open up branches in Western Province. They are not interested in opening a branch in the outside. That's what there was a direction. And other than that, to open a branch, they had to apply for a bank supervision department to get an approval. So at that time, they have to submit several documents, the viability, business viability, and how many bank branches in that particular area, and what is the income level of the particular people, and all sort of business viability project they have to submit. Then the bank supervision people will evaluate whether there's a necessary to open a branch in the particular area. Then they will give a approval. And other than that, the financial condition of the particular bank also will be a matter, because if a bank have a sort of shortage of capital, or they are running with a high risk businesses, so in that scenario, then particularly if it is a shortage of capital, then the bank supervision department will not give an approval to open another branch and expand the business, because then it will further adversely affect the capital adequacy ratio of the bank.
So thank you very much, sir, because you just answered another question that I had. My next question was going to be that with how branches are being allocated, but I think you answered before, and thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So these are the criteria for the submission of applications in local companies and foreign companies. Then the second criteria, the second process, we have seen the four process. First one is submission of application, and then second one is assessing the suitability. Then the criteria for assessing the suitability, there are several criteria. First one is interest of the national economy and the banking need of the country. This is what I have already told you or discussed with you all, that the bank and the central bank will first check whether based on the interest of the national economy and the banking need of the country to grant a license, the new licensing for a new bank. Another one is validity and acceptability of documents and the information submitted. So, for example, when they are submitting the license document, sometimes in some cases they are submitting some forged documents, or some documents which are not true or correct. So in that case, they will check the validity and acceptability of the documents and information submitted by the particular applicant. And financial status and history. So if a particular company which engaging some sort of other business and losses and all, their financial status is not a satisfactory manner, then the bank will not grant the license again. So they will just check the financial status and history. And suitability of directors, CEO, and other officers performing executive function. Actually, in here you have to think about it. You are better to know about it. There is a fit and proper direction. The bank directors or CEO should satisfy the fit and proper requirement of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. That's a direction. So generally, when a bank appoint a director or senior officer, they have to send those documents, the particulars of the particular director or senior management to the central bank to get the approval or satisfy with the fit and proper of that director. So which we will discuss in under the corporate governance topic. So here they will check the suitability of directors and CEOs basically under those directions. And adequacy of the capital. In the capital again, the banks should have the minimum capital requirement. Currently, I think it's 20 billion for a commercial bank. So they will just check whether the bank is having a minimum capital requirement or they have the proper plan to achieve the minimum capital requirement within the particular period. And ability of the bank company to meet all the obligations and liabilities incurred in the conduct of business in Sri Lanka and comply with the laws and all sort of things will be assessed by the particular assessment process. And compliance with the statutory and other requirement relating to the applicant. So all sort of things will be assessed, carefully assessed. It may take more than months time. So, and at that time they will assess all sort of requirement. And once they assess the requirement, as I mentioned already, issue the letter of provisional approval. This is the third process in a banking license. So what they have to do is, okay, they will assess, and once they satisfy that these assessments or all the assessment or applicant submitted or fulfill all the requirement, then if Monetary Board is satisfied that the application may be approved in principle, a letter of provisional would be issued to the applicant. On the receipt of provisional approval, the applicant should take all the measures required in the such letter prior to issue of the licensing letter. And the issue of the letter of provisional approval does not bind the Monetary Board to issue the banking license. This is an important thing. Actually, it doesn't mean that, okay, some people, some applicant may be issued the provisional approval, but if they don't comply with the requirement, all the measures or requirement are not satisfied, or for any other reason, sometimes the Monetary Board may reject to issue the letter of this licensing, banking licensing for the particular applicant. So in that case, that's what it's in the third point. It has been mentioned that the issue of a letter of provisional approval does not bind the Monetary Board to issue a banking license. So this is the provisional approval procedure. And finally, the issue of a banking license, where a board is satisfied that a license can be issued to the applicant to carry out on banking business. The board will issue a license with the approval of the minister. Actually, what they will do is they will just decided to issue the license, Monetary Board, then they will get the approval from the minister in charge to the finance. And license will be specified the authorized businesses and place or areas to operate and terms and conditions subject to which the license is issued. And license should be displayed in all business premises of the banks. So, and then actually this is the final stage of the banking licensing. So if you see the Banking Act number 30 of 1988, Annexure 2 and 3, I think, Annexure 2 and 3 describe what type of the businesses they can carry out. So those authorized businesses can be carried out by the, in case of licensed bank. Actually, Annex 2 talking about the businesses can be carried out by a licensed commercial banks, and Annex 3, I think, it's talking about the business activities can be carried out by the licensed specialized banks. There are two type of business activities, especially some are not given to the specialized banks. So those type of information will be issued. Then with that license, bank can start the business. Okay, here it's mentioned already. The permitted banking business, schedules 2 and 4 of the Banking Act mentioning about the permitted banking business, and subsidiary and associates. What type of subsidiary and associates banking can get? Actually, licensed commercial bank cannot have they are as a subsidiary, or the even a supermarket or retail business company or anything. They can have. There are some restrictions. So those restrictions are, a licensed commercial bank only have a licensed commercial bank as a subsidiary, but with the prior approval, training related to banking, accountancy and valuation, hire purchase transaction, and leasing and warehousing, management consultancy, business not inconsistent with the business of the banking and finance. Those type of, to carry out those type of business activities, they can create a subsidiary for a bank, licensed commercial bank. So these are the permitted businesses. And
so what about Cargill's Bank? Cargill's Bank, I mean, they are a bank as well as they are into another business which is not banking.
Yeah, but thing is, it is not the subsidiary of the Cargill's Bank. The licensed commercial bank only have the licensed commercial bank as a subsidiary company, or any other business which are related to the banking business. So, but I think the Cargill's Bank, it's the parent company or the holding company is the same company, but the Cargill's or any other businesses are not the subsidiary company of the Cargill's Bank. Get the point?
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then the permitted banking business, of course, then in that case, the business of the receiving funds from the general public through acceptance of the money deposit payable upon demands and use of such fund in whole or part of the advances and investment, any other operation authorized by law or customary banking practice. Actually, this is just defined what is the permitted banking business. Generally, they can accept the deposits and grant, either they can use that fund to grant the loans and advances, or they can make the investment or any other operations authorized by the customary banking practice. In case of specialized bank, business of accepting deposit of money and there's a investing and lending. Okay, sorry. That's a mistake. Sorry, there's a mistake. In case of specialized bank, business of accepting deposit of money and investing and lending such money is acceptable. So these are the permitted business in the licensed banks. And next one is institution authorized to accept the deposit, lend and investment such money, licensed commercial. Okay, this is something else. Before moving to that, we will complete the licensing of the banking business. Okay, if you have any doubt on that before moving to the other section, if you have any doubt on the licensing process, you can ask. If anybody has a hesitation, yeah.
Sir, now the monetary board is the one who gives the license. Can you kindly tell us what comprises the monetary board? Who comprises the monetary board?
Monetary board is generally the 5 members are representing. The one is the central bank governor will be the chairman, and the finance ministry secretary will be one of the member, that is by ex officio member, and there are 3 appointees. By three members can be appointed by the president. So there are altogether 5 members comprise the monetary board. Currently our governor, Professor Lakshman, will be the chairman of the monetary board, and Mr. Artikala is one of the member, and there are other 3 independent members. One is Sanjeeva Jayawardena, other one is Dr. Rani Jayamaga, other one is Kumar Singh. So these 3 members are the monetary board member, 3 independent monetary board members and 2 ex officio members.
When you say independent members, are they
independent members means they are directly, they are not ex officio members. They are directly appointed by the president.
Okay. The finance minister does not have a say here.
No, the secretary to the finance ministry is a member, Mr. Artikala.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay.
So those are the things. Is there any questions by other people? You all can unmute or you all can send the message. Then I can just through the chat box you can ask the questions. Okay. Then if you don't have the questions, then I'll just move to the other 2 slides before moving to the licensing process of licensed finance companies. Here it has, in the slides we have mentioned that institution authorized to accept the deposits and lend and invest such money, particularly the accept the deposit. The first one is licensed commercial bank and licensed specialized bank and registered finance companies, so licensed finance companies, and building societies incorporated under the National Housing Act. Actually, this is coming up. And cooperative societies registered under cooperative societies law. That is what I just at the beginning of this class I have told you that Cooperative Development Department is one of the regulator. They will look into that these cooperative rural banks as well as cooperative theft and serving societies. So those are coming under the cooperative societies registered under Cooperative Act. They can mobilize the deposit, and non-profit making organization that accept the deposit only from its registered members and has obtained written approval of the monetary board. So they can there are some exceptional case. They can just some non-profit organization can get the approval. And use of the word bank. Actually, anybody can't use the bank freely. The word using by the word bank or usage of the word bank is a restricted one. There are some circumstances only the people or company can use the word of bank. So use of words bank or any other derivatives or its translations or equivalent in any other language as part of the name is restricted. So these are some legal, I think legal words directly used. And all licensed banks should use at least one of the above word except any foreign banks that does not have any of such word in its name. Except the foreign banks, all the licensed bank it means domestic licensed bank, they have to use one of the word, the bank or the word meaning giving the meaning of bank. And no other company, firm, individual or group of individual should use any of the above words without the prior approval of the monetary board. Actually, the bank word cannot be used without the prior approval of the monetary board to accept by a company or individual or group of individuals. And subsidiary of the bank association form for the protection of the bank's interest, registered trade union of banks, banking institution and MLA, etc. are exempted. There are some exemption to use this word. Other than that, the word bank cannot be used freely. That is the understanding you will have to keep in mind. So if they wanted to use that word bank, then they have to get the approval. Okay, having that, we are finishing the completing the licensing process of a bank. So with that, I can move to the licensing finance companies licensing procedure. If you have any questions, I can give sort of chance to you all. Okay, that's a question. Sir, if someone goes wrong with the financial stability of the Cargill supermarket, which will directly impact the Cargill's bank run, since both carrying the same names. So, is there any precautionary act which will be taken by monetary board to overcome the issue before issuing the license? Actually, here actually one of the students asked the question that if someone goes wrong with the financial stability of the Cargill supermarket, for example, the Cargill supermarket having the problem with the financial problem, and they are just, if anyone confusing that with the bank name, because both are in the same name, which will directly impact the Cargill's bank, since both carrying the same name. So is there any precautionary act which will be taken by the monetary board to overcome the issue before issuing the license? Actually, even though it is the Cargill supermarket and Cargill's bank is sort of a similar name, I think it's coming under the same company, same holding company, but the bank will ensure that, or monetary board, central bank or monetary board of the central bank will make sure the safe and soundness of the Cargill's bank. And of course, you are raising sort of a reasonable question that if something goes wrong with the Cargill supermarket chain, then people may confuse with the Cargill's bank. Of course, there are a chance to start the problem with the supermarket chain and it's spread to the banking business, but we can't deny that possibilities also. I accepting that. We can't deny that possibilities also. But in that case, the central bank may have to issue a statement to the general public to stating the condition of assuring the condition of the Cargill's bank. So, but central bank as a licensing authority and as a regulator of the bank, central bank will always maintain the stability of the particular bank, and if they will make sure that that particular bank will run with a safe and soundness manner. Okay. Okay, there are some misconception. Of course, I am agree. Okay, is there any other questions, or otherwise we can just move it to the licensing of finance companies? Okay. Then the licensing of the finance companies, of course, this is one of the other industry of financial industry, like banking industry. There's an industry called licensed finance companies, LFC industry, which is also allowed to accept the deposit from the general public and use that money to grant the loans and advances and make the investments. So similar to the bank. Then somebody can ask the question that why there's a two different licensing process. Of course, their scale of business is different. The banks will run with the sort of high-end people, in the sense the large corporates and other the good creditworthiness customers and all sort of things. And the main expectation from the licensed finance companies, there are informal sector in the economy, in any economy, not only Sri Lankan economy, in any country, there is a formal sector as well as informal sectors. So formal sectors are mainly catered by the banking people. Formal sectors is the licensed company, the listed companies and large corporates and large creditworthiness, the creditworthiness people and all sort of things will be, that sort of crowd will be covered by the banking. And this licensing and informal people, of course, there are informal people can go, normally they will go to the local money lenders and some other informal channels to get the funding facilities and all sort of things. So actually the main role of the licensed finance companies is bridging the gap between this informal sector to the formal sector. So they are trying to cater this informal sector people and they are trying to bring these informal sector people to the formal sector. That is the main objective of this licensed bank. Another thing, that's what their scale is, expected scale is generally the smaller than the bank. And they are mostly working with the rural people and very small size customers and business entities, SMEs, especially most of the SMEs are having facilities with these licensed finance companies. So licensed finance companies are generally licensed under the Business Finance Act number 42 of 2011. Better you will, for the actually I'm always reiterating that studying a topic or subject have two objectives. The first one is passing the getting knowledge. The second one is pass the exam. So whenever we are getting the knowledge, we have to keep in mind what are the possible exam questions. Actually, 1 or 2 times there's a question asked that asked about this act, license for the Business Finance Business Act. So you have to keep it in mind. These licensed finance companies are licensed under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011. Earlier, before this Finance Business Act, there was an act called Finance Companies Act number 78 of 1988. So that act has been replaced in 2011 to as a Business Finance Act, and the registered finance companies become as a licensed finance companies. Okay, earlier these companies are called as a registered finance companies. Now they become as a licensed finance companies under this act, and this Business Finance Act is effective from 9 September 2011. Okay, the licensing criteria is almost similar to the banks. Actually, even though these are the scale, the size of the scale is smaller, but they are having same sort of business model as well as not same. I think they are similar. Okay, I can use the word similar sort of business model as well as the risk creating to the economy. So who can engage in the finance business? A person's license under the Finance Business Act. Under the Finance Business Act, the person who get the license. A person exempted from the Finance Business Act, any bank license under the Banking Act, any institution other than the finance companies exempted under the Section 76A of the Banking Act, and any cooperative societies registered under the statute of provincial council, and any other institution exempted from the application of Business Finance Act, Finance Business Act can be engaged in the finance business. Actually, there is a restriction. Okay, based on this Business Finance Act, there are some restrictions which says that, which emphasize that certain people only can engage in the finance businesses. So these slides discuss about those things. So there may be question. There was a question, under which act a person can engage in the finance business, or under which act it is prohibited that everybody can engage in the finance businesses. So in that case, you have to say this Finance Business Act, which prohibit everybody to just enter into the finance business. By the way, what is the meaning of finance business? Accepting the deposit and using that money for a grant the loans and advances, as well as invest those money into the several investment avenues. Okay, here it's covering this slide. What is finance business? The business of the acceptance of deposits and lending of money, investment of money in a manner whatsoever, and lending of money and the investment of money in any manner whatsoever. So this is called finance business. Okay, before moving to the basic requirement for licensing, if you have any questions, I can answer. Otherwise, I'll just move into the basic requirement for licensing. Applicant company should register under the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. So these are the basic requirement for licensing of a licensed finance companies. First one is the particular applicant company should be registered under the Companies Act. A public listed, it should be a public listed company, but of course, even though it is a basic requirement, there are some exceptions. You will have to keep in mind, there are some companies which are not public listed company, but they are in the some exception, because but this is one of the requirements. It should be the public listed company, but you have to keep in mind there are some exceptions. And not a company limited by guarantee, a private company or an offshore company or an overseas company within the meaning of Companies Act. So this is another important blood point you have to just keep in mind. Not a company limited by guarantee or private company, an offshore company or an overseas company within the meaning of Companies Act. So what it does meaning? Based on this, any foreign players or foreign companies cannot get a license, cannot apply for a licensed finance companies license, for a license of finance companies. Have a minimum co-capital as determined by the Monetary Board. At the time to time, the Monetary Board determined the minimum capital. Currently, I think 1.5 billion, but I think 2022 requirement. So they have to have a minimum co-capital requirement determined by the Monetary Board. These are the basic requirement for a licensing of a finance company. The first one is should be a company registered under the Companies Act, and it should be the listed company, but there are exceptions. Another thing is it should not be the foreign company or listed guarantee limited by the guarantee or overseas company, and have a minimum co-capital as determined by the Monetary Board. The key document for licensing. What are the documents they have to give for the licensing? The first one is duly filled applications and certificate of the incorporation. We have already discussed that it should be a company, so certificate of incorporation they have to given. and confirmation from the auditors on the availability of co-capital they have to provide. An article of association of the company. The latest forms filled with the register of companies on the registered address list of directors and annual return, etc. And affidavits and declaration of the director as per the given format. Okay. So these are the key documents they have to give. That key documents are, there are some more key documents: an organization chart, manual of operations, and feasibility report. Feasibility report is an important document, and projection of deposit, lendings, and then other operations, and profit and loss for the first 3 years of the operation after obtaining license. These are the projections. And board of directors assessment of the liability to comply with the directions and rule issued under the Finance Business Act, and audited financial statement for last 3 financial years. These are the documents they have to any applicant for a apply for a licensed finance company. He has to give these documents: application form, certificate of incorporation, confirmation from the auditors, article of association, and list of directors and annual return, etc., affidavit and declaration, organization chart, manual of operation, feasibility report, and etc. I think this is these are very straightforward things. There may not be questions, and if you have anything, you can just ask. The licensing process.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me, sir. Yeah, one thing, sir.
Yes.
I just wanted to add. Just want to know with regarding to this unregulated money lending parts like Cashwagon, and there are these certain apps where they lend out money like small amounts. So are they regulated or not regulated with central bank, sir?
Yeah, the main actually that is one of the main loophole in our legal system. Legal system in the sense financial regulatory system. In the financial regulatory system, there are restrictions to accept the deposits, but there is no any restriction to lend the money. Actually, so anybody can lend the money to any people. Only for the leasing business they have to get the approval. Otherwise, that they can lend to anybody. There is no issue. But I think last year the central bank initiated to bring an act called Credit Regulatory Act or something. The new act which will prohibit the lending activities and which will bring all the lending institution under the regulatory and supervisory conditions. But still, that act has not been approved. So if you will ask at current, what is the position? Actually, at current, anybody can lend. There is no any legal restriction to lend. So those institutions are not coming under any regulatory or supervisory things. Actually, that is the one way these lot of unregulatory leasing companies are giving loans to the vehicles, and there are a lot of social issues as well as financial issues. Those are created due to the lack of legal system of the country. Did you get the point?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. These are some practical things. Yeah, sure. You can ask.
So bank supervision department supervises banks. Now, who supervises the finance company? Is it also the bank supervision or any other?
No, there are two supervisory department. The one is the bank supervision department, which is in charge for the supervision of banks, and there is other department called the supervision for non-bank financial institution. That supervision for SNBFI. The SNBFI, Supervision for Non-Bank Financial Institution Department, is in charge to supervise the licensed finance companies and specialized leasing companies as well as primary dealers. And currently they have started to these microfinance companies as well. But microfinance companies, of course, I think in near future there may be some other arrangement. But currently they are getting involved with these 4 type of institutions. This department called Supervision of Non-Bank Financial Institutions, SNBFI. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, these are the things that are interesting, and you can also learn the new thing and the practical things. Actually, the learning is getting some practical idea. These theories can be getting from anywhere. So practical information and knowledge is one of the objective to coming to the class. That's actually, I appreciate your questions and I'm willing to answer. Actually, on top of that, these 2 institutions, these are micro supervisory institution. There's another institution, another department called Macroprudential Surveillance Department. Actually, I'm attached to that department. That department is in charge to supervise or surveillance the India financial system. India financial system in the sense all these banks, finance companies, and all the insurance company and all sort of micro view. Not they don't go and check the individual institution, just overall financial system whether it is safe and soundness. Just overall surveillance are carried out by the Macroprudential Surveillance Department. So these 3 departments are get together and ensuring the financial system stability of Sri Lanka.
So,
Okay.
with regard to that, sir, what is hello?
Yeah. Yes.
Sir, with regard to that, what do you think about the Sri Lankan financial situation now? The bank's stability is now.
Sorry, I'm refrained to comment about that because as a central bank, I cannot comment about it. But in the overall, the banking, it's making a comment on the stability on actually, I cannot make the comment.
So, sorry for putting you in trouble, sir, but can you kindly tell me what are the issues that we are facing in the sense? Can that be communicated? Because we were downgraded, some banks have been downgraded.
No, sovereign rating is an issue. That's everybody knows that. Sovereign rating, we have been downgraded to CCC level, and which will affect all the institutions, not only banks, all the institutions in Sri Lanka, and particularly the banking sector, of course, their foreign borrowings capacity will be get affected due to the sovereign rating downgrade, and that may create a sort of additional risk to the things. But again, our banking system has adequate capital and liquidity, which will give sort of cushion to the banking system, which was built up timely, and our liquidity was in rupee liquidity. I'm talking about rupee liquidity. Liquidity is general. It's in a good and capital as well. So that may give, but there are some additional risk may created through the sovereign risk, definitely.
So sometime back there was a story that to make it stable, the banking industry, that for big banks to merge, like NDB, DFCC. What is the status?
That of course I don't know. But the process is going on. I think recently the NSB and Sri Lanka Savings Banks got merged, and I think it was subsidiary. And there are some that I don't know the current status of that the particular process, but the merging is not an easy job. Actually, as a theory, merging is not an easy job because there are two type of business models, and their cultures may be different, and their risk appetite may be different, and also the mergers will take a long time to get a successful. So that may be long process, but I don't know the current position of that.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you.
Another thing is, of course, we have to discuss Yeah, and these are some sensitive questions. Okay, then licensing process and okay, then okay, licensing process and key document we have to move. And then this application has been submitted by the applicant. Applicant has to submit a duly filled application, and then with the recommendation of the director, this is the department, supervision of non-bank financial institutions. You can, if anybody wants, just you can write it the supervision of non-bank financial institutions. That department director, he can make the, based on the assessment, he can make the recommendation, call the information and examine the applicant and its group and or any other entity which has substantially interest or significant management interest on the applicant, and the investigation to assess the suitability. So these are the main application process. But even though it has been mentioned in a way, but it is again more or less similar to the banking assessment. And again, then that conformity here, the validity of the document they will assess, and financial status and history of the applicant, and qualification, experience, financial standing and suitability of directors, CEOs and key management personnel. They will just assess, and adequacy of the capital, ability to raise the adequate capital, ability to cover all the obligations and liabilities in conduct of finance business, and ability to comply with the provisions, some letters of the issue, provisions of number 42 of 2011 Finance Business Act, any directions given there under. So all sort of things will be assessed. So you can get to know that this is more or less similar to the assessment of a banking license. Then the licensing process. If the applicant has the required core capital, applicant has the ability to comply with the directions and rule of applicable to licensed finance companies, the issuance of a license is not determinal to the interest of its creditors and other stakeholders, and Monetary Board may grant provisional approval subject to such terms and conditions. Here also, again, if once they satisfied and they say that okay, they are having the core capital and they have the ability to comply with the directions and rules and regulations and all, then the Monetary Board can grant the provisional approval subject to such terms and conditions. And then again, the licensing process, under the licensing process, they may extend the validity period of the provisional approval exceptionally. Any exceptional case they can accept. Otherwise, they can extend the validity, and validity period not exceeding 18 months from the date of the provisional approval. So any approval maximum the period should be 18 months, the 1.5 years, and no commencement of the finance business under provisional approval. Under the provisional approval, they just getting the provisional approval, they can't start the business, same like the banking business, and should not state that it has been granted provisional approval unless required by the law. Actually, any applicant, if they get the provisional approval, they can't tell that. Actually, these are the things to safeguard the depositors. These clauses are there, and the license may be granted if satisfied with the applicant operated under the provisional approval. And provisional approval is not binding on the Monetary Board to grant the license. Similar to the bank, it doesn't bind the Monetary Board. Okay, but since they granted the provisional approval, the license will be granted. And Monetary Board to issue the notice to the public on issuance of the license to such applicant to carry on finance business. Actually, recently you can there are two, I think last year, not last year, 2019, there are 3 or 4 licenses have been granted to the microfinance companies. And at that time, the central bank released a press release, made a press release. We have granted a microfinance license to this company to run the particular microfinance business. Like that. Likewise, even when the bank, the Monetary Board grant the license to the finance company, they will notice to the public on issuance of license to such applicant to carry out the bank. These are just informative to the general public. And again, the use of the word finance, again, there are some restrictions to use the word finance. The licensed finance company should use finance or financing or financial as a part of its name. So that's a mandatory. If it is a finance company, they have to use one of these three words with their name. So finance or financing and financial. Any other person should obtain Monetary Board approval to use the word finance. And Monetary Board has the power to publish the name, address of an incorporated entity of directors thereof, unincorporated entity and members thereof, and individuals who use the word finance without approval. Actually, without central bank approval, if anybody use the word finance, they can, Monetary Board has the power to publish their name to the public. Okay, these people are using the word finance, but they don't obtain or they didn't get any approval from the Monetary Board. So, but there are some exceptions. Any company of which Monetary Board required to use the term finance, so if the Monetary Board given the approval to use the word finance, then they can. An association of the finance company, the Finance House Association, can use that word. And registered trade union for the employees of a licensed finance company use the word finance. Any company, if usage is recognized by law or international agreement, exclusive provided of education and consultancy service, then they can use the finance. So this is about the licensing of finance companies, licensed finance companies. If you have any questions, you can ask, I think, but this is more or less similar to the banking license. If you can any questions, you can ask before moving to the.
So one question, now finance companies and I was just going about leasing companies. I'm sorry. This was my question. Whether there is a difference, whether leasing companies are also covered under finance.
Yeah, actually the leasing companies are provided under the different licensing. But even though most of the finance companies are engaging the leasing business, that is their main business. If you see the licensed finance companies industry, more than 60% of their businesses are concentrated into leasing business. But there are some finance leasing companies, different entities, and it is currently in Sri Lanka, I think only 3 finance leasing companies are available. They are doing only finance leasing business. Okay, I'm asking a question. This is sort of very general question. What is the difference between the licensed finance companies and licensed or specialized leasing companies? What is the main difference?
So is it leasing companies can only do leasing, whereas finance companies can get into other areas as well? Is that the difference?
No.
Because of mobilizing the deposits.
Yeah, exactly. That is the main difference between the specialized finance companies and licensed finance companies and specialized leasing companies. The finance companies can mobilize the deposit from the general public, but leasing companies cannot.
So how does the leasing companies finance?
They are getting the fund. They are getting the fund, low cost fund from the banks and other institutions, and especially banks, or they can issue the commercial papers, or they can issue the debentures and all, and they can raise the low cost fund, and by using that fund they can grant the leasing facility. But these leasing companies are engaging some other business as well. For example, Pony. They can involve, but we are just monitoring the leasing business only. If any company or any entity involve finance leasing business, then they have to get approval from the central bank. That is the act. Okay, having that the main difference between the finance companies and leasing company. Okay, that's a question. There's a question. In recent circular by the CBSL related to credit moratorium, they have mentioned only about the licensed bank and specialized bank, but they haven't mentioned anything about the licensed finance companies related to credit moratorium. Is there any reason behind it, since this institution into lending? Oh no, actually, initially the bank has issued a press release on this moratorium on the banks and licensed commercial bank and specialized bank. But very recently, I think after 2 weeks from that circular, they have issued other circular which give a entitlement to the finance companies as well. If you go through the directions, I think licensed finance business directions, you can I will remember that even now it is extended to the licensed finance companies as well. But initially they have issued to the banks, but I think after 1 week or 2 weeks they have extended that to that facilities to the finance companies as well. Okay. Okay, then if you have any questions, I can answer. Otherwise, I'll just move to the next. This is finance leasing business. What is finance leasing? It is a commercial arrangement. Lessee will select an asset. It may be equipment, vehicle, or software. Lessor will purchase that assets, and lessee will have the use of that assets during the lease period. Lessee will pay a series of rental or instruments. Actually, in the leasing business, this is again about the Leasing Act, and in the accounting standard also this is explained. If it is a finance leasing, in a simple term, everybody may know about that. I just explaining those who are not much familiar with this. Lessee in the sense of who are obtaining the lease facility, the lessee will select the asset. For example, if it is a vehicle, lessee will select the vehicle, and lessor in the sense the particular finance company or leasing company, he will purchase the assets and giving to the lessee to use that facility, use that particular asset, the vehicle. For that usage, the lessee has to give the rental or installment. And then the finance leasing generally by end of the leasing period, the ownership will be transferred to the lessee. That is the arrangement in the leasing business, finance leasing business. And lessor will recover the large part, all of the cost of the assets plus earn interest from the rental paid by the lessee. And lessee has the option to acquire the ownership of the assets. So the lessee, in the sense the purchaser or the client, has the option to acquire the assets, ownership of the assets at the end of the period, paying at least the last rental or bargaining option purchase price. So generally at the end of the day, the end of the rental period, the vehicle ownership will be, or asset ownership will be transferred to lessee. The leasing company is a legal owner of the assets during the duration of the lessee. If it is a vehicle, you can easily see that in the vehicle registration form, even though the lessee is a customer name will be appear, the absolute ownership, there will be a note, absolute owner, the absolute owner will be a company, the particular leasing company or finance company. So leasing company is the legal owner of the assets during the duration of the lease, and lessee has the control over the asset, providing them the benefit and risk of the ownership. Any risk or rewards will be getting, then lessee has the control of that particular assets. And the registration of finance leasing business, actually it's a specialized leasing companies, finance leasing business. The Finance Leasing Act number 56 of 2000 and effective from 1st August 2001. The amended Finance Leasing Act number 24 of 2005 and 33 of 2007. These are two amendments to the Finance Leasing Business. And lessor, the contractual party of the finance leasing. Lessor, the person who transfers the right to possess and use an equipment under the leaseor to lessee. The lessee, a person who acquires the right to possession and use of an equipment under the lessee. Supplier, a person who supplies the equipment for the purpose of finance leasing, except lessee where he supplies such equipment. Actually, here there are three parties. You have to keep it just a simple understanding. There are three parties. First party is lessor, other one is lessee, other one is supplier. For example, X buying a vehicle to the from X buying a vehicle from Toyota Langa. Okay, then this some company X ABC company provide the leasing facility. In that case, X will be the lessee. He is to acquire the right and lessee, and ABC company will be the lessor, and the Toyota Langa will be the supplier. These three parties will get involved in a contractual, as a contractual party in a financial leasing. This is the simple understanding. I think these are some accounting jargons, the lessor, lessee, and supplier, and even in the legal. Features of the finance leasing: an agreement between the lessor and lessee for the possession and use of the license, an initial period of not less than 1 year, an equipment received by the lessee, and an equipment either provided by lessor, lessee, supplier, the payment by the lessee to the lessor by possession and use of the such equipment, not terminable by the lessee once accepted the equipment. So these are the some features, and there are some other features also. These are very straightforward features, so I'm just reading it to you all rather than just if they are just explaining, because I think it's very straightforward. Leasing amount to be calculated, amortizing the cost of the equipment, recoverable terms condition after acceptance of the equipment by lessee. So once lessee accepted the equipment, he can't recover, he can't withdraw from that terms and condition. To return the equipment by lessee to the lessor after the finance lease period in the absence of the purchase agreement. If there is no any purchase agreement, actually they have to return the vehicle. That's what I use the word generally. And not hire purchase agreement under the Customer Credit Act number 30. Actually, here it's not a hire purchase agreement, will not agree, and may or may not provide an extension to the initial period or for the purchase of the lessee of the equipment after the expiration of the initial period or period extended. So these are the some features of the finance leasing. And finance leasing business, investing money for the provision of equipment under the finance leasing. And equipment means any tangible assets which has the economical useful life of more than 1 year and does not include land. Any improvement made to land other than fixtures and immovable property attached to the land which can be removed from the land without substantial destruction to the such fixtures and removal. Actually, they just this is sort of term for the equipment. I think just keep it an understanding. This is there won't be any questions and asking that you all to write the definition of equipment. Just keep in mind. And eligibility to register as a leasing business, licensed commercial bank and licensed specialized bank. Here, now we are coming to the point where the licensed finance leasing business can be carried out by 3 institutions. Generally, are carried out by the 3 institutions. First one is the licensed banks. Licensed bank generally carrying out the leasing business. And the licensed finance companies. I have already mentioned you all that more than 60% of their portfolio, licensed finance companies' loan portfolios are represented by the leasing business. So, licensed finance companies also can eligible to register as a leasing business. And the public company incorporated the Companies Act number 7 of 2007 of Sri Lanka, having a minimum issued and paid of capital as may be prescribed by the Minister of Finance and Planning by way of gazette, then they can they have the eligibility to register as a leasing company. And again, there are some procedure for the thing. Submission of the application, and application should be furnished, feasibility report and the proposed business plan, detail relating to finance leasing business expected to be carried out, and financial projections. This is like again the finance companies, and application fee as prescribed. And key document for registration, manual operation, certification of incorporation, certificate of commencement of business, latest form filled by the Registrar of Companies about the address or list of the directors and annual return, license issued under the Finance Business Act as a licensed finance companies and banking act if it is a licensed bank, and article of association. Those documents they have to give a list of the board of directors, classification of these are the list. I think you can just read it out, and which these are the documents we have seen already in the banking license and licensed finance companies license as well. Organization chart, audit, financial statement and all. I think board of directors, assessment of the company's ability to comply with the directors regulation issued under the Finance Act, and confirmation from the auditors and availability of the capital, and declaration of the board and tax clearance certificate. There are, I think, the lengthy documents requirement has to be submitted to the applicant to the central bank to register as to engage in the finance leasing business. Any questions? I think I don't know whether you are getting boring with this number of documents. But these are just it's in the act or in the direction, so you'll have to, there's no any other way to skip this, but these are just read it and get the idea. Any doubt you'll have to clear before moving to the okay, I'll just registration procedure, I'll just move into that. So under the registration procedure, then once this application has been submitted to the this central bank, direct supervision of non-bank finance institution consider the application, then information submitted and carry out the investigation. Then once they carry out the investigation, then satisfy as fit and competent. They are the particular applicant as a fit and competent to do the engage the leasing business, and then they register the applicant, issue the certification of registration. Actually, this is not that much very stringent process on the application procedures, but actually direct non-bank supervision can do these things and get involved the registered financial establishment assessment process. So before moving to the insurance company license and all, if you have any doubt on this leasing company licensing and all, you can ask any questions. Okay, so so far we have completed the licensing process of 3 institutions. First one is license bank, second one is license finance companies, third one is specialized leasing companies or leasing business registration. So there are 3 institutions licensing procedure has been already completed, and other one is insurance companies. The insurance companies, there are some procedures, but here the regulator is different, because for last 3 institutions, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka is the regulator. So for the insurance company, who is the regulator? Who is the regulator for the insurance companies? Yeah.
Insurance board.
IRCSL. Yeah, actually earlier it was insurance board. Now it is called as a Insurance Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka. Okay, so IRCSL will be the regulator for granting the insurance business. So insurance, again, that's a definition for what is insurance. Insurance means a contract between the insurer and insured, whereby the insurer agree on the basis of the premium paid by the insured to indemnify the insured in case of loss due to the incurred risk, insured risk. So in that case, in simply, there will be a 2-party agreement where insurer will give an assurance to the insured or given any compensation in case of losses due to the insured loss. Then that case, the compensation will be paid. But all the things will be determined based on the premium paid from the insured to paid. The law of governing insurance industry is Regulation of Insurance Industry Act number 43 of 2000 as amended in 2007 and 2011 as well as 2017. And licensing of the insurance business, no person shall carry on the insurance business unless such person is registered or deemed to be registered under the this Insurance Industry Act, under the Insurance Industry Act, to carry on such business. So again, similar to the banking or similar to the licensed finance company's business, here no one carried out the insurance business under the, other than that they registered under the Insurance Act. And the person registered as an insurer shall not carry on any form of business other than insurance. Here again, if a person who is registered as an insurer, they can carry out only the business, the insurer business. They can't carry out other than the insurance business. However, an insurer may, with a prior written approval of the Insurance Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka (IRCSL), carry out any financial service business which is ancillary or associated with the insurance business for which a registration is obtained, general or life. Similar to the banking business license, here also they can involve other than the insurance business, but with a prior approval, there are some exceptional to get involved. That the businesses related to the insurance they can engage. After satisfying the suitability of the applicant to be registered, IRCSL shall register a company as an insurer and license specify the class of subclass insurance business authorized to carry on. So before moving to that, actually in the insurance, the last line of these slides, you have to keep in mind, I didn't emphasize here. In the insurance company, there are 2 types of insurance companies in Sri Lanka. One is general insurance companies, other one is life insurance companies. Okay, so there are, I think, 2 different licensing process. They have to get it for the general insurance and as well as life insurance, there are two type of licensing, and all the data and all. There are two type of two sets of data are available. One is for general insurance data, other one is life insurance. Just to get some knowledge, just go through the central bank website. You can get sort of information. Similarly, if you go to the IRCSL website, you can get some idea about the licensing of insurance company and what type of companies are get to involve with the licensing business. The license shall be kept at all times at the principal office or places of business and be made available for inspection by any member of the IRCSL, its Director General, or any person authorized to do so. So actually they have to maintain their licensing at the head office and has to made available to the Insurance Regulatory Commission. Every insurer shall, within 3 years of being issued with a license, to have itself license or license should be listed on the stock exchange, license stock exchange. Actually, even here, I think there are some exemptions. Even though all the companies has to be listed in the stock exchange, there are companies which have not been listed in the stock exchange. So there are some exemptions. Just keep it for your knowledge. And insurance business, long-term insurance business, that's what here again, that's what the long-term insurance business means, life insurance business. Contract of assurance on human life, where the payment of money is assured on death or happening of any contingency dependent on human life. So these are there are two categories of business: long-term insurance business and general insurance business. In the long-term insurance business, there are subclass. It's a life or annuities, permanent health, capital redemption contract, pension policies, and all are coming under the long-term insurance business. And general insurance business, of course, this marine, fire, motor vehicle, employees liability insurance, miscellaneous are coming under the general insurance business. And requirement for registration of the insurer, the application fee plus annual license fee, paid up share capital of 500 million for each class of insurance business, deposit with the general insurance for long-term insurance business and for general insurance business. So there should be deposit with the general insurance treasury, and appoint the principal officer possessing the qualification associate or fellow of the Chartered Insurance Institute or an equivalent academic or professional qualification will not less than 5 years post-qualification experience in insurance-related activity management. There are some restriction and fit and proper criteria are applicable for the principal officer. And persons engaged in the insurance business, insurer and insurance agent, insurance broker, and loss adjuster. A person registered to carry on the business, insurance business under Insurance Act and including a company are called insurer. An insurance agent, everybody knows that a person registered as an agent with an insurer or any broker who solicitate or prosecute insurance business for such insurer or broker in consideration of the commission. An insurance broker who function as an intermediary for placing of an insurance business for and on behalf of the insurance or policyholder or a proposer for insurance or reinsurance with an insurance or reinsurer recovering a brokerage or a commission. And loss adjuster, a person who has specialized knowledge in the investing and who is assessing loss arising from the insurance claim. Actually, these are some notes. I think nothing much to explain, and there are very rare circumstances to for the exam as well. But for just for a knowledge, you can read it and get the idea. An insurance agents and broker. Any person acting as an insurance agent shall register with an insurance or broker as an insurance agent no insurer or broker shall appoint as an insurance agent any person who is already registered as an insurance agent with any other insurer or broker. Registration of the insurance broker are subject to annual renewal, and acting as an insurer or broker or insurance agent without registration or any other contraventions or provision of act are offences. Okay. The finally use of the word insurance. No person other than a registered insurer or broker or insurance agent shall, without the written approval or use of the part of the name, title, description, the word insurance or any other derivatives. So here again, the banking or licensed finance business, this is not applicable to Association of Insurance and Brokers. I think this is, I just very quickly, I just go through the insurance because I think in the exam point of view, there is no much important. So I just run through the insurance business. So next section is about the stockbroker. I am planning to discuss that in the tomorrow's class. So today we have discussed about the licensing process of licensed bank, finance companies, leasing companies, and insurance business. And insurance business, of course, I have quickly run through. If you have any questions, you can ask the questions now. Any questions? Oh. Okay. If you all don't have any questions, then I'll wind up this class. So we have the balance section of this licensing of stockbroker and I think rural banks. So we will we can see those things in the next class, the 21st July, and then there is another section called litigation. So we can see that as well. So though with that, I think we can finish the sort of introduction, licensing, and incorporation of the banking business, our finance business. Then we can move into the separate topic called risk management, compliance, and corporate governance and all, which are those topics are very important for exam point of view. Okay. So we have one more class to discuss these things related to the act and licensing procedure. Okay, if you don't have any questions, I stop the class with this, and we will meet on next 21st July. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much.